Hello, hello. Okay. Hey guys. All right. So, fancy this. Facebook and me, obviously not compatible. So, guys, I'm so glad you're here. I hope for those of you that have been waiting to get on, that you're here, that you waited. We're gonna dive in, and we're gonna just get there. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Giovanna. I am a dating and relationship coach, and I'm really excited to be here today to share this workshop with you all. So, a little about me, and this is something I'm going to tell you that not a lot of people know about me. In fact, I'd be really surprised if like two people knew this fact about me. But I bought my very first relationship book when I was a teenager. A teenager. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck does a teenager need with a relationship book? In fact, like, what were you doing there, Giovanna? Well, I'll tell you what. I grew up in a household with a lot of conflict, a lot of yelling, and I got modeled a very dysfunctional relationship. But at the same time that I was having that modeled for me, I was also really keenly aware that I wanted a relationship, right? Like I knew that I wanted a special someone. And I just knew I didn't want it to look like that, right? So I, very young, bought my first book. In fact, I'm going to tell you the title. There was two of them actually. One was Finding the Love You Want and Keeping the Love You Find, right? And those are two books by Harville Hendrix, which if you don't know who that is, definitely Google him, look him up. He's been around for a long time doing this work. But these were the books that I bought. And like I said, I was in my teens and I was determined that I wasn't going to make the same mistakes as my parents. So you might imagine that because I learned so young what not to do, that I didn't do it. You probably think, well, great, you must have had wonderful relationships your whole life. And guess what? I didn't. So I didn't because of why we're here today. Because no matter how many self-help books I read, and no matter how many, little workshops I attended, what I wasn't addressing was the common denominator in all of it, which was me and my unconscious patterns, right? And so, yes, we have to evolve and we do things. So what did I do? I learned, and I learned through the school of hard knocks, like a lot of us. So I went through toxic relationship dynamic after toxic relationship dynamic, after literally almost replicating my parents' marriage, until I hit what I call my relationship rock bottom. And that's when I realized that something massive had to shift in my life. I was in pain. I kept meeting and recycling the same relationship scenario. I was repeating old drama, and all it was doing was deteriorating my self-esteem. And I got to the point where I just completely went on a hiatus from dating, from relationships. In fact, I swore them off. In fact, if I probably would have joined, I could have joined a convent, I would have, right? I just became so anti all of that. But it wasn't really me. It's not really what I wanted, because what I really wanted deep down inside was I wanted someone to share this life with. And I blocked that out. So what about you? Why are you on this call today, on this workshop? Like, why are you here? Are you someone that, is doing what I used to do, which is kind of meeting the same guy or girl even who looks the same or looks different, but where maybe is wearing different pants and a different outfit and different hair color, but is really like the same person, right? Are you the one that kind of gets close, and then once you get close, you freak out and you pull away, right? Is that you? Are you the person that ends up attracting, the narcissist in the room? We know this label now. Does that person love up on you, right? Do you meet them and you instantly fall in love, and the chemistry is amazing, and then you're a month in or 2 months in and things start to unravel, right? They're not who you thought they were, or you start getting criticized, or it starts to fall apart, right? Is that maybe what's happening to you? Okay, are you suffering from what I just explained that was happening with me earlier, which is what I call misindependent syndrome, right? Where I was like, I don't need that. I am done with that. I'm going to focus on my career. I'm going to focus on my ambition. I'm going to burn myself out with work. I'm going to fill my life with my friends. But I am never going to admit that I am really lonely and that I actually really, really, really want that special person to connect with. Are you the one that enters the relationship idealizing the person, really turning a blind eye to all the red flags that you see, only to be disappointed after disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, and just really get your heart broken little by little? Are you the one that stays in the relationship way past the expiration date? Okay, maybe that's you. I'm going to tell you, all of that was me. So I hear you. I feel you. I know you, right? I know you because I've been there, and now it's my pleasure to just support other women and some men through this journey of helping to heal all those unhealed pieces of themselves so that they can not just attract, but be attracted to the right person. So why do I say that? I say that because oftentimes we get all new agey with this relationship stuff. We're like, oh my God, why am I attracting, this person? And the problem is not so much that you're attracting that type of person. It's that you are attracted to that type of person. And I'll tell you what, once you start doing this work, once it gets really ingrained in you, and once you yourself have regained that confidence in yourself, that trust of your intuition, that knowingness that you have so much to bring to a relationship that somebody would be so grateful to be with you. Once you have that down, you won't find the old attractions as attractive anymore. In fact, what you used to find attractive will now, if I'm being honest, kind of nauseate you, because that's not you anymore, because you're not at that same frequency. So that's what we're going to dive in today. I'm just going to have a look here and see who's on live, because I did a Facebook blunder earlier and I started talking and it wasn't recording. So we're going to try and get this right for today. So we're going to dive into the content for today. If you're watching this on the replay, fantastic. Put your questions in the comments. I'm going to answer all of your questions as best as I can. Some of them might be private. I might take them over to a personal message, but those of you that want to answer or ask a question, put it in the comments. No problem whatsoever. I will get to them. You can, give me a hashtag replay to let me know you're watching it on the replay. That would be great. If you're here live, I'll keep looking over at the dashboard and making sure that I'm checking to see if you're asking any live questions to get to you. If I miss you, no worries, write them in the comments and I will get to them after the video. But I want to dive in with the content for today because I want to explore a couple of key concepts that I think are going to make a huge difference for you and are going to change things on how you attract the next new person into your life and how you're able to maintain that and keep it. So I'm going over to my notes because every good teacher has some notes. So first things first, if you are right now scrolling through other things, if you've got another gadget open, if you've got the TV on in the background, shut it down, right? Let's gift yourself with this time right now to go through these things and to do this work so that you're really gifting yourself with understanding yourself a little better. So why are we here today? Well, because I don't know about you, I didn't get a manual for relationships. In fact, I don't know anyone that did. And we've all kind of had to blunder our way through relationships. And, some of us have vision boarded our way through, and some of us, write the list. In fact, I don't know, is this you? It used to be me. I used to make all these lists of what, my dream guy was going to have and what he was going to look like and what he was going to do for a living. And I used to do all these crazy things. And every year I would change the list and all of this superficial stuff while never, ever, ever looking at, the common denominator and who was literally public enemy number one to myself, which was me. Okay. So let's give yourself this time to actually do this work today. So right away, grab yourself something to write with, and we're going to dive into some coaching questions. So first of all, why are you here today? So write this down for yourself. What is your intention for taking this little mini workshop today. Why are you here? What do you hope to get out of it? So you can write this down on your piece of paper. If you want, you can just add it in the comments, type it right into the comments. If you've got a paper going on the side, I highly recommend you also do it on the paper so you have it for yourself for later. So why are you here? What is it that you hope to get out of this today? And the other thing that you're going to write down on this paper, once you write down your intentions for why you're here today, is what do you want? So we can't really get to where we're going unless we know what we want. Now, you can be really vague and say, well, I would like a new boyfriend. Or you can be really specific and you can talk about the experience that you want to have in your next relationship. In fact, if you talk about the experience you want to have in your next relationship, you will be that much closer to creating that for yourself than if you stick to the superficial, well, I'd like a new boyfriend and I'd like him to have a good job and, I'd like him to be 6 foot tall or more and all that superficial stuff. What is your experience for your next relationship? And I'm using boyfriend here because it's just easier, but this applies to anyone, right? This applies to anyone here who is seeking love, who's seeking a partnership, right? And I work with everyone. So who is that for you? Write down what's the experience that you want to have. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to mosey on over here to our dashboard and see what is going on here. Okay. It's going to refresh the comments here. Perfect. So, do you got that down? Fantastic. All right, let's continue. So, what is the number one thing right now that you perceive is standing in your own way? In other words, I want you to look back at your past. I want you to look back at your other relationships and see if you see some patterns. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. These patterns might look like they have to do with the other person, but in fact, they have to do with you. So I'll give you an example. If you look back and you see, well, my pattern is that I always attract really controlling men. Fine, that might be true. How can you flip that around to be about you? In other words, my pattern is that I seem to always lose my power in my relationships, or I seem to not have boundaries, or I fall into people-pleasing behavior, or I become very submissive and I keep up this control dynamic by that. So do you get what I'm saying? Where is your pattern in that? Okay, so look back, have a look at your patterns. And for those of you that are watching this on the replay, you can totally pause right now and do this work. And the next question is, look back and see, well, what are the kinds of people that I've attracted? And I don't mean like guys with blue eyes and like, musicians and scientists or whatever, but just go back and look at what are the types of people that have you, that you're attracted to rather, okay? So is it someone who seems to have a lot of power and control, okay? Is it someone who is happy-go-lucky? Okay, is it someone who is a little more studious maybe? Like, what are your patterns when you look back? And maybe you don't have any. Maybe you're the person that's kind of dated every kind of person. That's totally fine as well. But see if you can look back and see if there's any patterns in that. So we're working on your past patterns that you seem to be repeating in relationships, okay? And these are usually negative things for the purpose of this exercise. And then I want you to look back at the types of people that you have attracted and that you're really attracted to is the key thing, okay? So is there a common thread there? And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be about like, oh, they were all musicians or they're all engineers, but look at their personalities, okay? And look at what kind of personalities that they've had. You know, have they started off like super, super loving and then become like aloof all of a sudden? So look at that. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, fantastic. You can pause the video here and you can dive into this work. Great. Okay, so we're gonna move on. What are the three pillars of a successful, what I would call conscious relationships? Okay. And this is going to be if you're in a relationship right now or if you're looking, because we want to know what something looks like. In fact, I would say 99% of my clients, when I start asking them what their view of an ideal or a healthy relationship is, I usually stump them up. And that's because for many of them, not all, but many, have never had that modeled for them. In other words, they don't even know what it looks like. When I ask, a woman who's looking for, her high quality ideal man, if she doesn't know what that looks like, if those are just words to her, if she's never actually seen that modeled in her life, then it's this really vague, nebulous concept, and it's really hard to look for something. It's sort of like if I said to you, I'd like to travel to Nebraska tomorrow, and yet I don't have a map. I've never been to Nebraska. I don't even know how to get there, and maybe I don't even know how to drive. It's going to be really hard for me to get to Nebraska tomorrow. So we want to have something to model. Okay, so it's really important. The next bit that we're getting into is because you want to know, what does it actually look like, so that you can feel it out and you can sniff it out and you can see it when it's in front of you. Okay, so first things first is for all of you women that are listening to this right now who have ever been called needy by anyone, I'm here to tell you that the number one principle here is to honor your needs, because being needy is just a sign that your needs are not being met. Now, either they're not being met by you or they're not being met by your partner that you're with. But having needs does not make you needy. It just means that your needs aren't being met. So this is really, really important, because this is one of the key things that I see for many women who, what I call, self-abandon in a relationship. In other words, they surrender things that are important to them, pieces of themselves. Sometimes it's their career, sometimes it's their money, sometimes it's just their sense of self and independence. They put that aside and they sacrifice that, all to uphold the relationship, all to keep that status quo, to not stir the pot, to not have waves, to not be called needy, because God forbid we be called needy. And that is a really, really, really damaging concept, because what it tells you is that you're not allowed to have needs. And moreover, your needs are not important. And I'm here to tell you that your needs are very important. In fact, the number one thing that will shift the way you date and the way that you do relationship is if you start honoring your needs first. And if you start honoring those needs and, in fact, informing the people in your life that you'll be doing that. In other words, you'll be honoring your needs first. Now, you might be thinking, Giovanna, that's really selfish. Maybe I'm married right now, or maybe I'm in a relationship and I would feel so selfish to say that to my partner. I don't know who said it, but somebody said it, and it keeps getting repeated for a reason. But if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? In other words, if you're not making yourself happy in the relationship, if you're not doing the things that bring you joy, if you're not honoring your needs and you don't respect your own needs, then you won't actually be able to ask your partner to fulfill some of those needs. You won't be able to communicate, rather, those needs to your partner. It'll become really, really difficult, because if you don't honor your own needs, nobody else will. So we need to focus on honoring our needs first, because we teach people how to treat us. So when we're respectful of our own needs, then somebody else can be respectful of them as well. So that's principle number one to having a really healthy, conscious relationship. And you'll notice this has nothing really to do with the other person. Like, this has to do with you. So this is about the relationship with yourself. And when that is right, when you can manage your boundary setting, when you can manage your energy, when you can manage all your needs and fulfill your needs, or get them met at least, that is when you'll be able to be a full and complete person within the relationship. Now, are you going to get this right every single time? No. Are you going to get it right every day of your relationship? No, you might not. However, having this as a compass and being able to get back to this, being in a relationship with someone who right from the first day understands about honoring needs and respecting your needs is going to be your first telltale sign. So that's number one. Number two is about responsibility versus blame. So I call this taking radical responsibility. So right now you might be waiting for me to give you that magic secret sauce that's going to be like, how do I meet the guy, right? How do I meet my dream partner? And I don't have that for you, right? Because this is all a process of peeling back the layers. One of the things I see stops women the most, in fact, it's the thing that stopped me the most from having the relationship that I wanted, was taking responsibility. In fact, I was so caught up in blaming all the schmucks that I dated and thinking that it was their problem and they're the idiots and they did this and they did that, and oh my gosh, just could not see my role in it. Would not see my role in it. And the more that I did that, the more I remained the victim of these men, of these relationships. I just stayed the victim. And it wasn't until I could actually see my role and take full responsibility for where I had played a part in the downfall, in the destruction, and even in the creation of all of those relationships, and indeed in the feelings that left me so heartbroken, I broke my own heart. And until I could take responsibility for that and really see it, again, not from a place of blame or shaming myself, but from really taking back my power, that is when things started to shift for me. So radical responsibility is the process of you actually owning all the pieces. Now, I take my clients through a whole 12-step process to do this. It doesn't happen overnight. In fact, for me, it didn't either. I needed a lot of guidance for this, but it is doable. And I've seen the results when this happens. I've seen the other side of the women and some of the men I work with when we go through these steps, and what happens on the tail end when they feel empowered again, because they know that if they created something, they can equally uncreate that thing. So number 3, our last one, identify and heal your relationship style. So your relationship style, or your attachment style as it's referred to, is the way that you bond in a relationship. So there's nuances to the styles, but there's really 3 main styles, right? One is an anxious attached person, and this person finds connection to be their dream thing that they want so badly, but they have such an innate fear of abandonment and a mistrust of their connection that it brings up a lot of anxiety. And so these are the people that are panicking about, why hasn't he texted me back, and how come he's not answering me, and why did he say that thing? And so there's a hypervigilance in this type of attachment to being abandoned, because that is the ultimate fear. And so an anxious attached person, or an anxious relationship style, can suffer quite a bit of anxiety and drama within their relations, because there's this deep, deep innate part of them that hasn't been healed. Now, moving over to the avoidant attached person, or the avoidant relationship style, those people want connection as much as the other, but when things get a little too close, they start to fear the opposite. They fear being engulfed. Now, they've got a bit of abandonment fear as well, but their stronger fear, their driving fear, is being engulfed by the relationship. And so they tend to push away. They get close, they push away. Now, you might be thinking, that's interesting. I think I'm anxiously attached, but my last 5 boyfriends sound like they were avoidant. And the opposite, I think I'm the avoidant one, and I think I've attached all these needy, anxious people. And you'd be right, because the majority of anxious people and avoidant people tend to find each other. It's sort of like this reversed kind of gunky, awful law of polarity. And I believe that the true reason that this happens is because we are brought together to heal and we meet people who are going to be our teachers. Now, that's my whole spiritual kind of universal concept for why that happens. But the real scientific, the science of attachment style reasoning behind that is because each of those attachment styles is looking to fulfill something from the other. And so we gravitate to the voids or the missing pieces in the other person. Now, eventually those relations will tend to pull apart, and they can be really difficult to navigate, and they can be really, really difficult to just be in. And you might be thinking, well, that's great. Now, how do I get out of this? Well, by dealing with and understanding your attachment style and healing it, you will start to attract less and less people of that opposite style. In fact, the goal here is for you to become more and more securely attached, and hopefully to get a partner that is securely attached. So secure attachment is the third one, and that is sort of the ultimate goal. Now, you might be thinking, oh my God, like, how do I get there? I've been attracting these kinds of people my whole life. I don't even know how to get there. Well, there is a process to getting you there. Too much for this video, of course, but it is something that you can work through and help heal within yourself so that you can attract a partner who is more secure. And I'm going to tell you a little secret, that when you're with a secure partner, and when you're in a loving relationship, and when you're in a healthy connection, much of your attachment style starts to heal itself. In fact, all those knots and those things that were created when you were really, really young, they start to untangle and they start to heal. And that's because we can't heal relational trauma in a vacuum. We've got to heal it within the context of a healthy relationship. You can hear my dog getting ready for a walk back there. So these are the 3 pillars of success in a relationship, whether you're just still dating or whether you've gone forward to, being more committed or getting married. These are the 3 pillars that I really believe if we start here, we can radically change how we relate to other people. So, was this helpful for you? Have I piqued some interesting curiosities? Of course, this isn't enough time to go over everything and to heal everything. There's a work in progress that has to happen here. And there's really no finish line, guys. Like, there is no finish line. You are a work in progress. I am a work in progress. We're all a beautiful work in progress. And I truly, truly believe that when we heal our relational trauma and when we can connect with someone and heal all of that and feel safe and secure, we can actually truly blossom to be the person that we were meant to be. Now, can you do that on your own and can you do it single? Abso-freaking-lutely. I'm a feminist. I do not believe that you need a relationship. But let me tell you, if you want one, if you truly in your heart desire one, and you haven't been successful up until now, then maybe it's time to look deeper into a little bit of these things. Maybe it's time to kind of dig a little deeper. And if you are ready to take the next step, you can go on over to my website, giovannacaposa.com, and you can have a look around, listen to some stuff, read some of my blogs. And when you're ready, you can book a conversation for us to have a love insight call where we can get down to what your specific issues are and what is really standing in your way, and hopefully get some insight that will move some of these blocks to love away. So I'm going to open this up to questions, and I'm going to have a look at your comments. Again, if you are watching this on the replay, welcome, welcome. Please put your questions in the comments. Make sure that you do so. You can connect with me either through the group here, through the comment section, or you can direct message me as well. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm so happy that you were here. I'm just going to double check. There we go. I'm just going to double check of who's on here and see if we have any questions or comments. Okay, I'm not seeing anything come in right now. So we are going to call this a wrap for today. Thank you guys for being here and for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.